So here we have the solar tracker, just getting ready for its first indoor test. As you can see here, that is the 4 light dependent resistors, which will give back an analog voltage of between 0 and 5 volts depending on which side the light is on, or in this case the sun. That's the panel. Just in here we have the east to west limit switches, over travel limits, so that the motor doesn't go full circle and wrap all the cables around each other. Here we have the north-south limit switches. That'll basically cut the signal to the relays controlling the motors. We have 2 motors here, pan and tilt. They are both 3.5 RPM motors. Inside the box we have National Instruments USB 6009 DAC with all of your LDR light dependent resistors wired into the analog inputs, and all the digital outputs then wired into that relay module block controlling the motors. The motors are all powered from this 12-volt battery. Over here we then have the operator's control panel. That's the front panel on LabVIEW. We have voltage readings for each LDR here. You have west, east, north and south. Then if motion occurs, we have LEDs basically displaying what motion the motors are moving the panel towards. Here we have our physical input channels from the DAC. We have to address them before running the program. And down here we have our sensitivity. That basically gives you a differential voltage between east to west or north to south. So if I set it to 1.5 volts, that means east would have to be 1.5 volts higher than west for it to move in that direction. And that's the same for any other direction. And here we can set our seconds per data point, basically how fast everything is moving in the program. And that's pretty much a synopsis on the program. And we just pull up the block diagram here. So that whole block diagram, it's basically explained in the report. Here is basically the mathematics and Boolean basically to decide on what direction the panel is going to move. So if south has a higher voltage than north and it's greater than the set value here, which is the sensitivity, well then it will move in that direction, and it's the same for the east and west. So that's the program, that's the basic setup, and now it's time to give it its first run.